Welcome back to Me and My AI. This interview series features thought leaders and business owners who are training their own personal AI to engage with their memories and proprietary information in unique and scalable ways. I'm your host, Marissa Brassfield, and today it's my pleasure to interview John Talbott. He's a marketing faculty member and director of the Center for Education and Research in Retail at the Kelley School of Business at Indiana University. John, welcome. I'm so delighted to be with you today.
Marissa, it's really nice to be with you too. I've gotten to know you a little bit recently, and you're a really fun person. So I look forward to our conversation.
Thank you. Me too. So I mentioned a moment ago that you are a teacher and a researcher, but you also have an entrepreneurial and consulting background. And so with this rich landscape of wisdom, I'd love to know kind of your take on the state of business and especially retail now that AI has come onto the scene. What are some of the things that have captured your attention and interest as it relates to AI in retail?
Yeah. So why don't I start, Marissa, with, in my role here at Kelley, I have the good fortune to interact with a number of senior executives at major retailers around the country. Walmart, Home Depot, those types of entities. And with AI being the new term, retailers have gone back and relabeled some of the things that they were doing previously that we might have called machine learning. And suddenly it's AI. And that allows the CEO in those quarterly earnings calls to say, we're using AI in inventory management, we're using AI in image development, we're using... And a lot of the work has been in place for some time, and I'm just seeing a lot of interesting things. One of the use cases that I saw was a retailer that sells furniture and other home goods among a myriad of other offerings as well. But if you think of a company like Wayfair, for example, and you come in and you see a room that has a couch in it or something like that. Usually when you see that couch, it's not shown to you just as a stock flat image of just here's the couch. Maybe they have that image down below, but it has some rotation capabilities and other things. But usually they put it into an environment. And this particular company that I was working with had been using just standard photography to create these room shots for products that they had, and several years ago began to experiment with using AI-based photography tools to generate the rooms. And so the images for the rooms themselves are AI generated. The particular item, let's say they're on their website, the item that, if it's a couch, for example, is featured within that room, but also within that room, generated by the AI because they've uploaded their proprietary image materials, right? So they have that in there. And they ask the AI to build a more attractive room. And so they have that room, that couch is in it, and the couch might be up close, the couch might be far away. It might have a lamp here and a picture over here. And they generate multiple versions of this image. And then they A, B, C, D, E, F, G, I test it. And they figure out which one performs best in terms of getting people to click on the couch. But also what they've done is built live links to all the other objects within that. And instead of those being artificial lamps or pictures, those are actually things that they have available within their e-com storefront, and you can hover over those. And I mean, I don't think it's new for us in terms of seeing this in a e-com environment, but the way that it's being done is new. And building images and taking photography is very expensive, and so they are able to get better outcomes, at lower cost to them. So they like it a lot. So that's just one particular use case, but they're also using it around inventory management, predicting trends and things like that. So I think one thing to remember is that when you think of these companies like Walmart or the Home Depot, Home Depot, I believe, is about a $78 billion company. And they have one of the top 5 websites in the world, which is shocking. Or actually in the United States, I'm sorry. Walmart's bigger than them, but I think Walmart, eBay, and I believe they're number 3. So, and then we have, companies like Walmart, so $670 billion, entity in terms of revenue. And within that, they've really started to acquire the necessary intellectual capability that I think largely used to exist only on the West Coast or in India or someplace else, but they're starting to be able to onboard these people that have enough capability around neural networks, large language models, and those sort of things incorporated within their entity to be able to take these sort of tasks and perform them, which is really interesting to me.
I love that example of taking your inventory and assembling it in a way where you can really take a data-driven approach to show, in this case, the viewer, the customer, what they might like to see versus historically, perhaps it's a bunch of people in a room making that decision on behalf of the customer. It just seems so much more user-driven, which is exciting. But even more exciting. Oh, yeah, please.
I think it's interesting with retail because, a lot of retailers are the direct interface with the final consumer, right? But shockingly, most retailers up until, 15 years ago, they didn't really track their customers very well. They tracked what got purchased by their customers, and it was through that vehicle that they understood who their customers were. But a lot of them weren't using CRM. If you think about early CRM packages, like the first version of Salesforce a million years ago, was a desktop application. It was primarily like Outlook on steroids. And it was really designed for B2B use cases. It wasn't really designed to handle large data sets like retailers have. And so it's nice to hear you say that they are doing a good job of listening to their customers, but frankly, they're now dealing with them directly, trying to understand it, as opposed to trying to understand them through their purchases. Although companies like Amazon, to me, do a wonderful job of understanding who we are through our purchase behavior. They probably know me better than I know myself. I do some stuff in class, and I have students just open a browser and ask everybody just to pull up Amazon. And then we go around the room and say, what page did you get? Well, I got some with this woman yesterday said prom dresses and some other things because it's sorority rush right now on campus. And so she's a coordinator for that. So evening dresses, that sort of thing, or something she's been searching for. Another kid, I think, had weights or something because he was in health. But it's obviously they're probably using some sort of a neural network capability or a machine learning process to really build those, multiple links in a regression equation that says Talbott might want this. Let's give him that. So Amazon has, I think, inspired other retailers to follow suit and be better at trying to understand consumers not as a member of a group, not as a segment, but as me or that person or you, Marissa, as individuals. And, in my interactions with personal AI and building mine, I think that's one of the things that I am most attracted to with this particular tool is that it's an extension of myself as opposed to, just third-party information about me, if you will.
Oh, very much. I'm delighted you're going there because I'm really excited about how you've been using personal AI and also just artificial intelligence in general in education and with your students. Can you tell us a little bit more?
Yeah. So we actually partnered with Human AI, Personal AI, and Suman and Jonathan, who are Suman's the founder, and Jonathan is director of strategy, I believe, but he's a former Kelly alum, and so that's how we got connected. And actually, I think he was in one of my classes 45 million years ago or something along those. So he's a former student. But they were kind enough to allow us. They gave us 7 AI personas, and our students were separated into groups, and they had a semester-long project where they were tasked with identifying an audience and then finding unmet wants that audience had, thinking about a solution that would solve the problem for that group, and then developing a brand identity that would be appropriate to wrap around the service or the product offering that they have created. And as a component of that, they trained branded AIs. So they uploaded materials about their brand. They actually used the image generation capabilities within Personal AI to iterate on creating images for their not real brands. And one of them was a makeup brand that the team had come up with, and they came up with a logo, and then they used both Personal AI and the image generation capability there. And then Canva also has some generative tools that they also use, and built this beautiful presentation. You'd think there was a brand that was already out there in the world right now. So that was really fun. And, you know, as an outcome of that, 3 of the students were asked by Jonathan to help with building personal AIs for people that don't have the time or the technical inclination to develop their personal AI on their own. And so they're doing that for, I don't know, famous people. The famous people that they know about are quite different from the famous people that I know about. So they would probably say, I'm working for so-and-so, blah, blah, blah. And I'd go, who's that? But they are excited about it. So what a coup for them when they start interviewing, you know, this spring, and that's on their resume, that they've worked, you know, with an early stage AI company, and they have some knowledge around the challenges about training in AI. It's fantastic for them. So that's one way that we've been thinking about using it.
Really cool. I just want to commend you for how you are leading in this area, because so often, especially in the news, we hear about, well, they're banning ChatGPT or like, and there's this anti-approach, but the reality is much more likely. I mean, AI is not going away. It's only going to proliferate and get more powerful. So in a time where you hear the talk track of how education needs to evolve, but we also can't use AI, this AI first approach is so refreshing. And I agree, it's going to set these kids up for success in ways that we can't even foretell. But another thing that's come out of this, we talked a little bit about it before I started recording here, was some of the business ideas and use cases that the students came up with for using personal AI and other AI use cases. And there are so many ideas that we've not come up with yet, we the adults, that are going to be enabled by solutions like personal AI. Where else do you see some really great applications for personal AI and AI in general, in education and, you know, anywhere else?
We chatted about this. So I was a former CEO of a company. I was a VP of marketing for a Fortune 500 company. And I never had an administrative assistant in any of those roles, and frankly didn't believe in it because I think it was demeaning to the individual why would I have to have a third party type something for me? I can type. And so in all of those roles, people helped me and facilitated the things that I needed to get done. but as part of their broader, more important role within the company itself. And so I've been training an AI for the last 4 or 5 months within the human AI tool, and it's focused on retail. But my long-term goal is really to, for the first time in my life, have a personal assistant that can help me keep track of stuff, because I've got too many different things going on. And the other thing that occurs to me is that students are like little CEOs of their lives today. They're not little, they're adults, but they are the CEOs of their lives, if you will. And they have a lot to think about. They're concerned about grades, obviously. They're involved in, they feel compelled to be involved in a lot of organizations. They have interviews and job things that they're managing. They're trying to manage their health, which the last 4 or 5 years has been difficult. And I think that personal AI as a back end can evolve to be that assistant that when a student gets their schedule, they upload it into the personal AI tool. The schedule's there for them. It's tracked. I have students, we talked about this, I have students that set up in their freshman year, they make an Excel spreadsheet and they plot out their entire life from a class standpoint for 4 years. And I think to be able to sort of gather and hold that information in a secure, private place where it's yours, but that you can sort of, I think of the Harry Potter movie where the wizard pulls the thought and puts it into the perceive or something like that. Pensive.
Oh, I'm another Potterhead.
I mean, when he pulls it out and, he drops it in there, I mean, that's essentially what I'm trying to do with personal AI. And that's a vision that I think also could be useful for students. But one of the things that another one of the teams came up with, Marissa, was an app for students that would be a mental health app. And the idea, I don't know what name they ended up coming up with, but you could call it the Talk to Myself app, essentially. And its students have had a number of mental health issues and challenges over the last 4 years. I think we had some events in the world that don't happen regularly. And so I think we as humans are a bit challenged we don't have experience to deal with those sorts of one-off issues that happen every few decades or something like that. It's not something that we've sort of built into our lives. And so I've had, so many more students come to me with concerns about their mental well-being and other things like that. So these students came up with this idea of a Talk to Themselves apps. And what people would do is upload maybe discussions that they're having or pieces of information. But, for those that suffer from depression, I mean, when you're in a depressed state, you're not the same you as you are when you're in a non-depressed state. And there's really not a mechanism for that wacky situation in your brain to fix itself by interacting with the well you, if you will. And so their idea was to sort of put the best of themselves into this health well-being tool that would also be trained on broader use cases of what sort of talk points are useful for students to bring them down from depressed, certain problems that they're dealing with. Really working with like our School of Public Health to understand the science around what really works in terms of sort of talk therapy within apps, because these are already out there. But finding the use cases that really work and are not just fake, and then building that information into the trained AI, but also having the personal component. So you have both yourself, but also a bevy of real, I guess, authoritative users that are there to help you and guide you as well. So I've got to talk to Jonathan about it, because we need to find some students out of our informatics school to help with just onboarding a lot of these materials. And I know he's interested in these sorts of applications that can plug in to PAI. And so I think that's a fun one. And I was just really impressed with the students for considering that.
Absolutely. So smart. John, thank you for sharing your wisdom with us today. You mentioned several personal AI models that you and your students are training. Are any of them available and accessible to the public, or are they private?
Well, I have my own personal AI that I've trained, and I get quoted quite often in media as a retail expert. You know, I guess if you say it enough, it sticks. But I've actually trained an AI to have some of my knowledge, but also, you know, most knowledge about retail exists in the public domain anyway. It's material that's been in public for many, many, many years. So my knowledge, my personal knowledge, is also backstopped by connections to large language models. So you can, my AI, if I were to give it to you, Marissa, you could text it and ask it a question about retail, and I think it would give you a pretty good answer. You could also ask it to tell you a joke.
Oh, I love that. Fair enough. Well, soon enough, we'll have access to that AI, and anyone can ask, because these days retail is evolving quickly, and so is education. And so I'm looking forward to being able to interact with your AI. I also do human to AI versions of these interviews, so I'm looking forward to
I'll
that.
be sure to follow you within PAI right now, and I think I already did, but you know, maybe we can set up our own little lounge, and I can learn about media, and you can learn about retail.
I think that sounds magical. Jordan, thank you for your time today. It was so
Pleasure,
wonderful
Marissa.
getting to know you. Be well.
And feel free to reach out anytime. A lot of fun.
I sure will.
I sadly, I like talking about this stuff, so thanks for.
That's the benefit of wisdom. It's like
Yeah.
I can help a nerd out about it.
Wisdom is a really strong term for what's up here.
Well,
But anyway,
use
thanks,
it
Marissa.
with intention.
Yeah.
Thank you. Take
See ya.
care.
Bye.